Hello, and here I am, as I promised, to start reading you Winnie the Pooh stories. And the first one is called We Are Introduced. Once upon a time, a very long time ago now, about last Friday, Winnie the Pooh lived in a forest all by himself under the name of Sanders. "What does under the name mean?" asked Christopher Robin. "It means he had the name over the door in gold letters and he lived under it." Winnie the Pooh wasn't quite sure, said Christopher Robin. "No, I am," said a growly voice. "Then I will go on," said I. One day when he was out walking, he came to an open place in the middle of the forest. And in the middle of this place was a large oak tree, and from the top of the tree there came a loud buzzing noise. Winnie the Pooh sat down at the foot of the tree, put his head between his paws and began to think. First of all he said to himself, "That buzzing noise means something. You don't get a buzzing noise just like that, just buzzing and buzzing without it meaning something. If there's a buzzing noise, somebody's making a buzzing noise, and the only reason I know for making a buzzing noise that I know of is because you're a bee." Then he thought for another long time and said, "And the only reason for being a bee that I know of is making honey." And he got up and said, "And the only reason for making honey is so as I can eat it." So he began to climb the tree. He climbed and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed and he climbed, and as he climbed he sang a little song to himself, and it went like this. There's Winnie the Pooh climbing up the tree. "Isn't it funny how a bear likes honey? Buzz, 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 I wonder why he does." Then he climbed a little further and a little further, and then just a little further. By that time he had thought another song. "It's a very funny thought that if bears were bees, they'd build their nests at the bottom of trees. And that being so, if the bees were bears, we shouldn't have to climb up all these stairs." He was getting rather tired by this time, so that is why he sang a complaining song. He was nearly there now, and if he just stood on that branch, quack! "Oh, help!" said Pooh, as he dropped 10 feet. "If only I hadn't," he said, as he bounced 20 feet onto the next branch. "You see what I meant to do," he explained, as he turned head over heels and crashed onto another branch 30 feet below. "What I meant to do. Of course it was rather," he admitted, as he slithered very quickly through the next 6 branches. "It all comes, I suppose," he just said, as he said goodbye to the last branch, spun around 3 times and flew gracefully into a gorse bush. "It all comes of liking honey too much. Oh, help!" He crawled out of the gorse bush, brushed the prickles from his nose and began to think again. And the first person he thought of was Christopher Robin. "Was that me?" said Christopher Robin in an awed voice, hardly daring to believe it. "That was you." Christopher Robin said nothing, but his eyes got larger and larger and his face got pinker and pinker. So Winnie the Pooh went round to his friend Christopher Robin, who lived behind the green door in another part of the forest. "Good morning, Christopher Robin," he said. "Good morning, Winnie the Pooh," said you. "I wonder if you've got such a thing as a balloon about you." "A balloon?" "Yes, I said to myself as I was going along, I wonder if Christopher Robin has such a thing as a balloon about him. I just said it to myself, thinking of balloons and wondering." "What do you want a balloon for? You said. Winnie the Pooh looked round to see that nobody was listening, put his paw to his mouth and said in a deep whisper, "Honey." "But you don't get honey with balloons." "I do," said Pooh. "Well, it happened that you'd been to a party the day before at Piglet's house and you had balloons. You had a big green balloon and you had a big blue balloon. And you brought them both home with you. Which one would you like?" you asked Pooh. He put his head between his paws and thought very carefully. "It's like this," he said. "When you go after a honey with a balloon, the great thing is not to let the bees know you're coming. Now, if you have a green balloon, they might think you're only part of the tree and not notice you. And if you have a blue balloon, they might think you're only part of the sky and not notice you. And the question is, which is most likely?" "Wouldn't they notice you underneath the balloon?" you asked. "They might or they might not," said Winnie the Pooh. "You never can tell with bees." He thought for a moment and said, "I shall try to look like a small black cloud. That will deceive them." "Then you had better have the blue balloon." And so it was decided. You both went out with the blue balloon and you took your gun with you just in case, and Winnie the Pooh went to a very muddy place and he rolled and rolled about in the mud until he was black all over. And when the balloon was blown up as big, and you and Pooh were both holding on to the string, you let go and Pooh Bear floated gracefully up into the sky and stayed there, about 20 feet from the ground. "Hooray!" you shouted. "Isn't that fine?" shouted Winnie the Pooh. "What do I look like?" "You look like a bear holding on to a balloon." "Not," said Winnie the Pooh. "Not like a small black cloud in a blue sky?" "Not very much." "Oh, well, perhaps from up here it looks different. You never can tell with bees." There was no wind to blow him nearer to the tree, and so there he stayed. He could see the honey. He could smell the honey, but he couldn't quite reach the honey. After a little while they called down to you, "Christopher Robin." "Hello?" "I think the bees suspect something." "What sort of thing?" "I don't know, but something tells me that they're suspicious." "Perhaps they think that you're after their honey." "It may be that. You never can tell with bees." There was another little silence, and then he called down to you again, "Christopher Robin." "Yes." "Have you an umbrella in your house?" "I think so." "I wish you would bring it out here and walk up and down with it and look up at me every now and then and say, 'Tut, tut, it looks like rain.' I think if you did that, it would help the deception which we are practicing on these bees." Well, you laughed to yourself, silly old bear, but you didn't say it, and you went home for your umbrella. "Oh, there you are," said Christopher, called down Winnie the Pooh as soon as you got back to the tree. "I was beginning to get anxious. I have discovered the bees are now definitely suspicious." "Shall I put my umbrella up?" you said. "Yes, but wait a moment. We must be practical. The most important bee to deceive is the queen bee. Now, can you see which is the queen bee from down there?" "No." "A pity. Well, if you walk up and down with your umbrella saying, 'Tut, tut, it looks like rain,' I will do what I can by singing the little cloud song, such as a cloud might sing. Go." So while you marched up and down with your umbrella and wondered if it was rain, Winnie the Pooh sang this song. "How sweet to be a cloud floating in the blue. Every little cloud always sings aloud. How sweet to be a cloud floating in the blue. It makes him very proud to be a little cloud." The bees were still buzzing as suspiciously as ever. Some of them left their nests and flew all around. And then, "Christopher, ow!" Robin called out the cloud. "Yes, I have been thinking. These are the wrong sort of bees." "Are they?" "Yes. So I should think they would make the wrong sort of honey, wouldn't you?" "Would they?" "Yes. So I think I shall come down." "How?" asked Chu. Winnie the Pooh hadn't thought about this. If he let go of the string, he would fall bump. And he didn't like the idea of that. So he said, "Christopher Robin, you must shoot the balloon with your gun. Have you got your gun?" "Of course I have," you said. "But if I do that, it will spoil the balloon," you said. "But if you didn't," said Pooh, "I shall have to let go, and that would spoil me." When he put it like this, you saw how it was. And you aimed very carefully at the balloon and fired. "Ow!" said Pooh. "Did I miss?" you asked. "You didn't exactly miss," said Pooh, "but you missed the balloon." "I'm so sorry," you said, and you fired again, and you hit the balloon, and the air came slowly out. And Winnie the Pooh floated down to the ground. But his arms were so stiff from holding onto the string of the balloon all that time that they stayed up straight in the air for more than a week. And whenever a fly came and settled on his nose, he had to blow it off. And I think, but I'm not always sure, that is why he was called Pooh. "Is that the end of the story?" asked Christopher Robin. "That's the end of that one. There are others. About Pooh and me and Piglet and Rabbit and all of you. Don't you remember that day when Pooh and Piglet tried to catch the heffalump?" They didn't catch it, did they? No. Pooh couldn't because he hasn't any brain. Did I catch it? That comes into the story. But we'll have that one another day. So there you are, your first Winnie the Pooh story. Night, night, lovely.